Welcome to the Velvet Hour and one of my favorite places to spend my Velvet Hour. Once again, we are on location. I want to introduce you today to an amazing woman, Tiffany Perry. She has such a great story, and I think a lot of you will be able to relate to the twists and turns her life has taken and where she has ended up. So welcome, Tiffany, to the Velvet Hour.
Thank you. I'm so excited.
I am so glad to have you in this beautiful setting.
The most perfect day right now. I feel like I'm in some tropical hideaway.
Yeah.
Kind of feels like the Jungle Cruise. Everything leads me back to Disney. I can't help it, but so beautiful. And we have the stream running behind us and this beautiful soft light. I always think about light as a photographer, and
I bet.
I just feel so... Thank you for having me. I love this place.
Of course. Well, you have such an amazing twist and turn journey. And I want to start way back, okay?
Okay.
You have been with your husband since you were 16?
Since I was 16. I don't want to age myself too much, but it's been 26 years we've been together.
Okay.
Funny story, he was my first kiss when I was in kindergarten and he was in first grade.
Unbelievable.
We didn't meet again until high school, but yeah, it's been quite
a journey
together.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so at 16, you're in high school and you get recruited. They come to your high school, Disney does, to recruit. And you are in the drama department there. You are the high school mascot.
I was.
So for all of you kids that are high school mascots, and it might not be the coolest thing to do, you could end up like Tiffany. And so they came to recruit characters.
Yes.
And so you sign up, you go to Disney, there's 400 people.
There's 400 people that are auditioning to be a character at Disneyland. And I do not know what I'm doing. I am this little 16-year-old that just drove on the freeway for the first time to get to this audition. And little did I know that it was going to change my life, truly.
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 You answered that call, though, in high school at 16. I mean, they were there recruiting, and you were like, I'm down for this.
Yes. I did not know what intuition was at the time.
Right.
Now I do, and I was definitely listening to that little voice saying, just go. I also was very fearless at the time.
So, okay, so you audition, and then they have you guys come back that made it.
Yeah, so out of the 400 people, only 19 people made it. A lot of it has to do with your height requirement. So I'm only 5'2", and at Disney, that is like gold standard.
Oh, I'd be perfect.
You would be perfect. Although I'm 1 inch too tall to be Minnie Mouse, so.
So I'm an inch too tall
You're
for something in my whole life?
I feel like as we age, we might get a little shorter. My dream of being Minnie could come true.
It could come true. It could come full circle.
Yes. But after a 2-day audition and trying on all these different costumes, I got the job in the character department, and I was approved for 10 different characters there. And so I was Winnie the Pooh, and I was Chippendale, and it sounds so cheesy, but I promise you it was some of the best times of my life.
I bet.
It was so fun.
Well, you get 30 minutes on, 30 minutes off.
Yeah.
You get all these breaks, but when you are on, you're out with children that most of them adore you, and you're getting all this love and adoration from parents and kids.
Truly.
I mean, what better job?
It was so awesome. I'll tell you, even when I was in costume, I was smiling. Even though nobody could see my face, I was just always beaming inside that costume.
I bet.
So I got to do that for 2.5 years, and I truly joke that once I retire, I'm going to go back to doing that job. There was a lady.
I'll go with you.
Yes, please. There was a lady there that just retired at age 89 as Minnie Mouse.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That is so sweet.
Yeah.
So see, there's hope for retirement.
Right.
Okay, so you're a character. Mm-hmm. What happens next? You get married.
I get married. But when I was a character there, my love of Disney really started to flourish, and I would have the Disney magazines, and I would rip out the articles, or there were articles but also ads for the Disney fairy tale weddings.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, Jason, that's my husband. We're going to get married here someday. We're going to get married here someday. And I still have these ads that I ripped out and I put in my memory box. I worked there for 2.5 years. And then I quit because I got a job at a summer camp teaching theater to some celebrities' children, which that's also crazy. I just answered an ad for that. Again, following that little intuition, not knowing where it was going to lead me. And that was an awesome, awesome summer job.
Wow. So you were teaching celebrity kids theater.
Yes.
No pressure.
No pressure. I just remember Susan Sarandon's son rehearsing the lines. He was Goodman and Charlie Brown. And he's like, this is how my mom memorizes her lines. Can I do that? I'm like, oh, yeah, I think you know a little bit better than me as a kid. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So you do that.
I got married in Palm Springs when I was 26. Had our first son when I was 27, Jet. And then when I had a 9-month-old at home, I found out I was pregnant again. So I have 2 boys that are 18 months apart. I'm a big believer in some of the happiest moms are the ones that can get out of the house just a little bit.
Absolutely.
So they can work part-time. So I was working part-time teaching parent-child classes at Gymboree.
A Gymboree.
Yes.
We've all had a Gymboree experience. My daughters still have very close friends. They're now in their 20s from Gymboree when they were 9 months old.
I still have friends that I met teaching classes and then taking my kids to classes at Gymboree.
Okay.
So during that time, I had a photographer that I would hire to photograph my kids, and she was looking for an assistant, and my husband's like, hey, why don't you do that? So his little intuition. Mm-hmm. And she said, do you want to buy my old camera? And so for $200, I bought my first DSLR camera and I was so excited. I started doing free photo shoots. And then somebody offered to pay me $25 and I could not believe that they were going to pay me
so much money.
So much money. And then I started getting more and more clients and I didn't know how to edit. I didn't know how to use lighting correctly necessarily, very much self-taught. But what I did have was an energy when I showed up to the sessions. And I do feel like some of my magic sauce that has gotten me to where I am today is how I'm able to interact with people and meet them at their energy and also pull their authenticity out.
And you don't like to have a real rigid plan or structure. I've noticed being on many shoots with you that you like to show up, look at the area, and you kind of go with the energy of the people, the setting, the event. And you capture such amazing moments that way.
Thank you. That's my favorite part. I love it. There was a hot minute where Pinterest was very, very popular, and I would just get these Pinterest boards from these brides. And as much as I appreciated their preparation and how excited they were for their wedding, I always say, I think you should be the inspiration. Let's make your photo one that's on Pinterest.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're taking pictures of Gymboree kids.
Yes.
You have a wealth of new clients.
I have a wealth of new clients. I'm so excited. I'll be honest with you. I thought it was so cool. I'm a photographer now. And then during this time, my husband had an awesome job and just everything was going so well. We had a 6-month little boy at home, an 18-month little boy at home. And then boom, my husband loses his job.
Oh.
And our home that we lived in was tied to his job. And so we had a month to get out and find a new house.
Wow.
So we both grew up in Orange County. I love it here. Orange County is such a special place, but we could not afford it at the time. So we ended up moving to Temecula, which is also another beautiful place. It was about an hour and a half from Orange County. And we did have, unfortunately, we went through all of our savings and we were on assistance. And so even though I was doing photography, it was not enough to provide for everything. So during that time, our friend of ours had started a photo booth company and we decided, you know what, that goes hand in hand with photography. Let's start a photo booth company. Again, I didn't know anything about photo booths. Although, fun fact, my maiden last name is Tiffany Booth. So, I don't know. I think I was always destined to own photo booths. On Facebook, it's Tiffany Booth Perry. And so many people have messaged me, is this because you own a photo booth company? Like, no.
So you have 2 babies at home. Your husband loses his job. You have to move. Mm-hmm. And now you're the breadwinner of the household.
I'm the breadwinner.
Yeah.
My husband, he was very sad. He was in a funk. It's a big hit to a lot of men's egos, right? When you're not able
Their identity.
Yeah.
But you went with it and you just rolled with it and did what you had to do.
Yeah. We started to market the photo booth, and we would come with our little boys every weekend to Orange County to do photo booth gigs. And they would be in the car with one of us while the other person was in there setting up. And then we would stay at my mom's house all weekend.
Juggling
it all. And then I would do photo shoots for, $125 when I was out here. And then one day we got a phone call for a photo booth. And they said, "Oh, you do photography too? How much do you charge?" And I was like, I will never shoot weddings. I photograph families. I photograph newborns. I don't want to deal with those brides. And because, the term bridezilla was huge at that time.
Right.
And then they offered me $1,000 to photograph their wedding. And I truly felt like I had hit the lottery. I could not believe somebody would pay me $1,000 to be there.
Did you throw out that figure like, "Oh yeah, I'll photograph your wedding for $1,000"?
Yes. And she jumped at that.
And you were like,
Yeah.
so shoot high.
Shoot
high.
And then I'm like Googling
the start.
wedding and photography contracts because I didn't even know what I was doing. Fun fact, they are also still my clients 15 years later. So
we'll see.
I'm so grateful that they trusted me. Yeah.
Okay, so now you are off to the races. You're the breadwinner, and you are now shooting weddings.
I'm photographing weddings. And during that time, we were lucky enough that we could move back to Orange County.
Wonderful.
Yes. And I found a little studio in Costa Mesa. And I love Costa Mesa. I was so excited. I had this little 800 square foot studio, natural light studio. And I said, you know what? No one's doing photos at Disney. So I made an ad on Facebook. And I think I was charging, I don't even remember, $200 for a photo session at Disney, not knowing there was actual real Disney photographers that photographed there. And this photographer from Fiji, he said, "I'm going to be at Disneyland. I would love for you to photograph, us at Disney." So I did that day. And a friend of mine said, "Hey, there's a photographer that specializes in Disney weddings." So I started to follow her on Facebook, and I just could not believe she would get these amazing photos in front of the castle, in front of the Haunted Mansion, and there would be nobody in sight. And in my brain, I was like, oh, she must be photoshopping all these people out, not knowing that there's actually private sessions that happen in the middle of the night or early morning hours at Disneyland.
You know so many behind the scenes things about Disney. You have stories that I've heard that there is a lot of behind the scenes things at Disneyland. Perfect, because you already were a character there, so you knew the land, the layout.
Yes. And I know the culture. Yeah. And so fast forward, that same photographer, she had posted an ad on Instagram saying, "I'm looking for associates to join my team." Again, listening to that little intuition.
The whispers from the universe.
The whispers from the universe. So I sent in my portfolio. I didn't hear anything for weeks and weeks and weeks. And then I get an email back saying, so her name's Jenna.
I met Jenna.
Jenna would love to meet you. Can you come to a wedding? So I was going to assist her at a wedding, but I didn't know that. I thought I was going to photograph this wedding with her. So I show up at 5 o'clock in the morning to the Grand with my camera gear and meet her in the lobby. And we're in there photographing the bride, or she is. And she turns to me, and I know she was feeling a little awkward with me standing next to her. And she goes, "Why don't you go photograph the groom?" And so I'm like, okay, because she had another assistant there. I was just supposed to be like the third tag along. So I went and I started photographing the groomsmen, these rowdy bunch from Canada. Right before the ceremony starts, Jenna says, "Hey, let me see the back of your camera." Now, if you're a photographer, showing somebody the back of the camera, raw, unedited images, I equate to somebody looking at you with no clothes on.
Naked.
Yes, because this is not the final product. So she looks at the back of the camera, bride's about to walk down the aisle, and she goes, "You're doing great. Keep going." I'm like, Because truly, at this point, I'd been following her for so long. She was like one of my dream photographer idols.
Wow.
She photographed Mariah Carey's wedding, and I thought that was like the coolest. We get through the ceremony, we go sit down at lunch, and we find out we had both worked at Disneyland, and we had so many things in common. And I knew the culture of Disney, which that's a big thing, is just knowing the culture and customer service and how do you act on stage, just different things like that. So she takes my SD card home with all my raw images, and she calls me the next day and she said, "You did a great job and you're exactly who I've been looking for." So it's
serendipitous.
11 years, and she's one of my closest friends now. A couple weeks after I got the job there, she said, "Hey, there's a castle session," which is one of those private sessions in front of the castle.
Dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. And I want you to go do it. And holy cow. So I drive my little car down a main street. I park in front of the castle, unload all my gear, and for an hour, I get to photograph in front of, I think, one of the most iconic, people from all around the world, they know a Disneyland castle. And I got to photograph there. And that was another moment. How did I get here?
I'm doing this. I am a professional photographer at Disneyland.
During that time, before I had gotten a job with her, Instagram had just started really popping off. And I was like, my dream is for one day for Disney to post one of my photos on their Instagram. Well, they ended up posting my picture from
that wedding.
Yeah. That was a pinch me moment.
A big milestone. So then fast forward, you are a wedding photographer. You do also the most amazing infant. I mean, your pictures of infants are just precious.
Thank you.
Amazing.
The border, remember when borders were cool in rooms?
Oh, yeah.
Wallpaper borders? It was Ann Getty's. As a teenager, I had an Ann Getty's border in my room.
Your journey has just followed because you've listened to your intuition. You've recreated yourself when you had to. So now you are doing weddings.
Yes.
You have toddlers, and your husband is taking care of the toddlers.
He's taking care of the toddlers, running our photo booth. We got to move back to Orange County during this time. And I think we did that for 8 years, where my husband ran the photo booth and was kind of a stay-at-home dad. But with my job, I'm so lucky that I'm not working 9 to 5 every day, right? But there are moments where I'm having a toddler on my hip, like taking a client phone call or locking myself in a room because I have a toddler kicking at the door because they want to see my mom, and I'm like talking to a bride.
Your photos are always amazing. And now you're going to do my daughter's pregnancy photos. And after she has the baby, do some infant photos, I'm sure. And so tell me the energetics about taking photos of an infant who's hopefully sleeping to a bride. I mean, so many different types of energy with those. Walk me through how you do that.
So I am not always the most technical photographer, but what I can do is I can come into a room and I can connect with most people. So say I'm doing a family session with a 2-year-old. I'm going to act silly. I'm going to jump. I'm going to start laughing.
You're going to go back to your Disney character.
My Disney character or my inner child.
Yes.
But maybe that child's a little shy. What I'm going to do, I'm going to tone that down to just meet them at their energy.
So wow, you really learned that through Gymboree and working as a character, how to read
the room.
Kids, read the room and adapt and be kind of a chameleon.
Very much so. If I'm going to walk into a bridal suite, there is a different energy in that bridal suite. And so, we have a mom that's losing her mind over here because her daughter's getting married and the bride's maybe not loving her makeup. And then we have a bridesmaid over here that thinks she knows everything. And then we have sweet grandma in the corner. And it's like, how are you going to work with all those personalities to bring out the authentic story that's happening?
Right.
And so I get this compliment over and over when I'm shooting. People will say, "Oh my gosh, that was so fun," or "You made it so easy."
You do make it very easy. I mean, I am not photogenic. I'm really, really not. Never have been in my whole life. And never have liked pictures of me. And the only pictures I have said, oh, that's a good picture, are the ones you've taken.
Thank you. That is like the greatest compliment. I appreciate that so much. So my whole thing with photography is if there are humans to be photographed, I will photograph them in whatever setting. A newborn setting, you know, a bachelorette party. I've been photographed bachelorette parties before, weddings. I've even been hired to photograph funerals, and that was a different energy that I had to bring.
Oh, I bet.
That was very much, let's be quiet in the corner and just really take in, you know, what is happening. I think that what I bring that is different is just how I can relate with people.
Mm-hmm. So years go by, you have a 12 and 14-year-old sons, and you and your husband don't believe that you can have children anymore. You had tried for years, and I'll never forget, you came over one day because we were doing a photo shoot, I think, or an episode, and you were white as a ghost, and you said, Erin, I have something to tell you. And you go, I am pregnant.
I am pregnant, and I am 41 years old, and I have teenage boys, and I have a flourishing career. What is happening?
What is happening? You were just like in shock. I was so excited for you, but you were literally just in shock. Fast forward, you now have the most beautiful baby daughter.
Thank you.
Named Remy Holiday, which I just absolutely adore her. She's so good and so chill and so observant and just definitely was meant to be here.
She truly is meant to be here.
I think she is an old soul for sure.
She had her first day at Disneyland yesterday, and that was just a full circle moment for me, and check that off her bucket list.
Her first Disney experience.
She's just 4 months old now. And I'll tell you, I kept photographing my entire pregnancy.
I know. I have pictures of you up on a ladder at an event getting photos, and you're pregnant. I'm like, please, please.
I photographed 3 weddings in 3 days at 9 months pregnant. I was convinced I was going to go into labor. The clients didn't know I was pregnant. I didn't just show up like this. But I think truly being a mom of a third and not being able to stop, it helped me with like post-recovery and getting right back in.
You didn't have time to think about it.
I didn't have time to think about it. But also I'm very lucky and blessed that I had a healthy pregnancy.
And you have a great husband.
And I have a great supportive husband.
You guys are such
who
great.
Also has a job.
A new job.
New job now. So we're all balancing all of the things, and
yeah.
Baseball games galore. And one time we did get to do the photo booth on the fields at Angel Stadium. We're huge Angel fans.
Yeah.
I get to go. There's so many cool opportunities that this job has allowed me to experience.
You even did your baby reveal at a baseball game?
I did. And I got engaged at Angel Stadium.
Yeah.
There's a lot of baseball. My wedding cake was a baseball hat.
So you and I have talked a lot about energy and following your bliss and intuition and listening to the universe and manifesting.
So much manifesting. Before I even knew what that word was, I've been manifesting my whole life, and so many of those things have come true. I started shooting these weddings at Disney, and then I found my old memory box, and I'm opening up these, ads that I had ripped out when I'm 16 years old, and I'm like, oh, I am a Disney wedding photographer now. Be careful what you manifest, because...
Exactly. So giving energy to those things you do want to have happen.
Exactly.
Not the things you don't.
Yes, and I'm such a believer, there are so many photographers out there, and now with the accessibility, photography equipment has gotten less expensive. It's still expensive, but it's less expensive than it used to be, and it's more accessible to everybody.
Right.
And, everybody's a photographer now with their cell phones and their iPhones and everything.
They're shooting movies on phone.
Yes, truly, they are. And vintage cameras that we used back in 2000 are now cool again, and the kids are taking them. Well, they don't go to clubs anymore, but they're taking them out with their friends. So it's really easy to be like, who's my competition? And this photographer's only charging $100 for something, I would charge a lot more for. But I do not think about my competition. I am unique, and I have my own journey. And truly, there's enough work out there for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even think about the competition because, they technically might be better than me. They might have more money in their bank account than me. They might have better equipment than me, but they don't have, my unique soul blueprint.
Yeah, I've been amazed at how you just keep rolling, rolling.
I truly love it
because
so
you
much.
love what you're doing.
I love what I'm doing.
And that's
So if I wasn't doing this, I'd be a character again. Those are my options in life.
so when I know you have such a busy life, what is your velvet hour? And maybe it's not sitting down being chill. Maybe it's driving. Maybe it's on a walk. Maybe it's
Well, when I'm driving, I'm listening to podcasts.
okay.
Or music. For me, I love a bath. I take a bath with my baby girl every single night, and a lot of ideas come to me in the bath.
Yeah.
A lot of them. Also, the baseball field. Because sometimes I'll sit and chat it up with the moms, but a lot of times I'm sitting like out by myself I have a little cool rocking chair that I bring to games and my snacks. And I will just sit and think, and that's when a lot of my ideas come.
Okay.
But those are definitely my velvet hours: bath time and baseball. B&B.
The B&B.
B&B.
And I know that we were at an event once, and it was about listening to your soul and your desires and what you wanted to manifest. And you, at this event, wrote a children's book.
It did. We were talking about the frequency of love and how that's one of the highest frequencies.
Yeah.
And so this title just came in my brain, and it said Love Frequency, an A to Z book for tiny souls. And I'm like, and this was before I was pregnant. And so in those 2.5 days, everybody was writing these speeches. I'm in the corner, I'm photographing this event, and I'm writing this book. And by the third day, when everybody's on stage, I was like, hi, I wrote a book. Can I read it on stage to everybody? And I read it on stage.
And you showed me the illustrations and the visuals, images that you created to go with each page. And it was amazing.
Thank
It
you.
really was. So we're both going to write children's books.
So the book should be out in about 2 months. We're just finishing up. I'm very specific about my illustrations.
Yes.
I want a little kid to just always want to pull that off the shelf. And even my teenage boys, after I wrote the book, they had some friends over at the house, and I started reading it, and then they all climbed in my son's bed, and they're 12 and 13-year-olds just listening to my book, and they were giving me their feedback.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. Well, I love you dearly. Thanks for being a part of this episode.
High five.
Thank you once again for joining me on the Velvet Hour in this beautiful setting. And I enjoyed introducing Tiffany to you. Don't forget to stop and listen to your own intuition and follow those whispers of the universe, because you never know what they might be telling you or where they might be leading you. So I have some great episodes coming up with some really interesting guests. Stay tuned, and I'll see you on the next episode of the Velvet Hour.